Coming up on this episode of the Preston North End Weekend Warm-Up, we've got fun and games with Ben and Greg. We'll chat with the Preston North End legend that is Alex Bruce. And we'll look ahead to the visit of league leaders Fulham. All that and so much more on the Preston North End Weekend Warm-Up. And it's a warm welcome from us all here at Exton, and what a show we've got for you. We are going to put that cheeky Alan Kelly Jr. bang to rights. We'll talk about Chocolate Gate, as it's now known as, just from about 3 seconds ago when it came to the front of my head, because our first guest and the big guest this week on the Weekend Warm-Up is Sir Alex of Bruce. Lord Alex, as some think, rightly so, that he should be called. But let's start off in the place we always start with our very special guests. How are you? Where are you? What are you doing?
Yeah, I'm very well, thank you. What we're doing these days, well, I've been retired several years now, so I'm just keeping busy, one thing and another, plenty of walking, plenty of exercises, bit of crown green bowling, grandchildren, normal things you do when you're retired.
I think I've experienced most of those with you as well at some point over the last few years, haven't I? You had a spell of trying to teach me crown green bowls at Penwitham.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. And I noticed you're not taking it up either.
Well, dislocating my shoulder at some point, obviously stumbled that one. And then COVID got in the way of everything, didn't it? But if that's a challenge, then we'll start that again. Are you a fair weather bowler, or is it any time of the year?
Fair weather for me. I was actually missed last season. Both knees replaced last year, 2020, not at the same time, 3 months apart. And I never ever thought I'd be injured for crown green bowling. But I missed the whole season. I couldn't bend.
Well, it's a good point to bring that up then, because we've not seen you as often. I mean, we've not seen anybody at Deepdale, have we, recently as well? But I know it's been a struggle for you to get out and about. So how are the knees? How were the operations?
Yeah, they're doing well. Mr. Helm at Fulham Hall Hospital looked after me well. He'd done both knees. I'm now pain-free for the first time for about 6-7 years. Bit of stiffness, that's all, but really good. I'd recommend anybody to get them done.
How was COVID for you in terms of the lockdown? Did you cope okay?
Yeah, we were coping not bad, to be honest. Unfortunately, my son got a bad dose of it, so he wasn't well for quite a while, but he's recovered okay now. And then my daughter's just had it, and her husband, but they had the vaccinations, so they weren't too bad. So yeah, just like most people, it's been a difficult time, Simon.
So in terms of football then, which is why we're here and talking. And ironically, today in 1972, you scored your first goals at Deepdale for Preston North End. So the 25th of November, 1972, you scored 2 actually in a 4-0 win against Brighton. So right. I know you might not remember that. I don't know. Do you remember that day? I know that obviously you scored that many goals, it would be hard to remember them all. But do you remember the first few that you scored at Deepdale?
Well, I could remember the March, I think, if it's the one I think. And it was just, I'd only been getting into the first team. And I think I made my debut at the end of the season in May. Then we had the summer holidays, then I was getting back in the team. But I could remember, if I remember right, I could remember playing with Alan Spavin in midfield. And I think Spav may set up one of the goals, but I was amazed at how good he was in the middle of the park. The service off him was phenomenal.
So in terms of your route to get into North End, because I mean, effectively you came through what the version of the youth system, I suppose. Yeah. You came through as a young man, didn't you? So how did you end up from Dundee coming down to Preston?
Well, I had trials, believe it or not, I had a trial for Man United and they asked us back. I turned down trials at Chelsea, Aston Villa, because I came to PNE. And the chief scout lived in Dundee, but that wasn't why I ended up at Preston. But I realised then, after one visit down to Preston, that they had a reputation. There were a lot of Scottish players here, and I knew that this part of the country, the reputation was that they loved Scottish players coming down and playing in the first team. And so I thought, Well, that's a goal, if you will. Now, just prior to that, I could have signed for Rangers, Dundee United, but that would have been on an S form. Now, what that meant at the time, Simon, is you had to stay at school for another year. Now, when you want to play football and you're 15-year-old, you do not want to go to school for another year. So staying in Scotland, playing up there wasn't an option, unless I stayed on at school another year. So I ended up signing for Preston North End, and then just really enjoying my football down here.
Because you were only a young man when you came down, obviously. So how did you settle in? Which digs did you get in when you came down to Preston?
Well, when I came down, I was 15. It was April 1968. So I came down when I was 15. And then you were literally just taken up to your digs, dropped off in your digs, and then just turned into training. And that, but it was really hard, not just for me, a lot of young lads that were there. It's not the ideal thing just to be in digs at such a young age at a strange time. So, yeah, so it was a bit hard the first couple of years.
So who was your buddy? Who would you have palled up with when you were younger?
Well, I was in digs with a lad called Andy O'Halloran. He was from Motherwell, and I think Andy sadly got a free transfer. And then eventually I was in with another lad called Mick Churchman. I think he ended up at Grimsby. And then PNE bought the hostel on Moor Park Avenue, and I ended up in there. So all the lads were together then, but so that was far better.
So what are your early memories of Preston then?
The town or the club?
Both, I suppose. I don't know whether you can tell us any of your early memories from the town.
Well, to be honest, I was obsessed with football and that. So it was mainly, it was a good impression. You know, it's a big thing. You go from school into a changing room and you get absolutely slaughtered, but in the nicest way. I mean, I had ginger hair, freckles, Scottish accent, white-skinned, and that. So, I mean, I got my fair share of stick, to be honest, but all good banter. It was all good natured. And then I played old inside forward up till I was 15, inside right, number 8. I'd never played as a striker. Then I was 9 stone 2, and then I got in the A team, B team, and then A team in reserves, and nobody would play us up front because I was like 9 stone 2 and I was really skinny, and that. And then it was in the reserves, and then I was thinking, I absolutely hate playing back in the inside right position. And this thing's changed. I just want to get up front. Then they started giving us the odd game up front. And then when I eventually made my debut, I was 10 stone 2. So they still, I don't think they were mega excited about playing us up front at the time because it was just lightweight. But there you go.
So who was it who made that eventual choice to actually, for you to become effectively a number 9 or a number 10 or whatever you would say? Yeah,
well, as I got in the team, Arthur Cox was coach to Alan Ball Senior. So Alan Ball Senior gave me my debut. Now, Arthur Cox was brilliant with me, and he took me up to Willow Farm, and he said, right, I'm going to show you where you show me basically where you think you could score from. And he had me hitting balls from all parts of the box, seeing if I could sense where the goals was. And that really, it sounds basic stuff, but it was music to my ears. And he says, you're going to be remembered for your goals. He says, you're lightweight, 10 stone 2, you're not going to win headers, and you're not going to be, tackling all these players and stuff like that. He says, but I think you'll be remembered for scoring goals. Thankfully, I got a few, so.
I think that's the understatement, Alex, that we'll probably hear in this one. I think you got more than a few, didn't you? Are there any, I think Sir Tom, realistically, of the modern era, or anywhere near the modern era, got more goals than you. So you are 100% a legend at Preston North End, and you're the most modest man I think I've ever met in my life to boot as well. Were there any that maybe especially stood out in that time? Any that you either felt were more important for the team, or that you have your own personal favourites?
I think the first important goal I got was against Burnley. I'm just trying to recall it now.
Is this the one right at the end of the season?
Yeah, Burnley needed the point to go in what would be the Prem, and we needed the point to stay up.
Yeah. So Alan Ball had lost his job, hadn't he? So Frank Laws was the caretaker manager. It came down to the last game of the season. As you say, Burnley just needed a point to be champions and go up. we needed a point to stay up. So what are your memories of that?
Yeah, it was great. I could remember them flooding the pitch on that day. So it was obviously the game was in May, and I think the Fulwood Fire Service came down and flooded the pitch because Burnley had Dave Thomas and the other winger, can't remember, Steve Kindon.
Okay.
So Burnley had the two wingers.
Fast
so
as
the thought
well.
was flood the pitch, and then they can't run as fast up the wings. Believe it or not. And also to cap it with that, they narrowed the pitch again to keep their two wingers quiet.
You see, I'd read that, but I think that was denied, I think, for somewhere. But that it did happen, did it? It
did happen. Yeah, definitely. The pitch was narrowed, and then they flooded it. So that was meant to go against them. And
you scored first as well, and I'm told this is a decent goal.
Yeah, I mean, like I said before, I think Alan Lamb broke down the left-hand side, as I recall it, and he probably could have shot, but he squared it, and I just fortunately got it past Darlin Stevenson, I think it was, in goals. Yeah, and that was it. And then they equalised, and the play never left the middle of the park for the last 20 minutes.
Everybody was just happy with that 1 point because it suited you.
Yeah, that was it. Yeah, as long as we each got the point, everybody was happy. So.
You had decent partnerships up front.
Yeah.
Is it the obvious one that maybe is your favourite? Did you have a favourite?
No, I think the important thing was always to raid in twos and not. I mean, it sounds really basic and that, but so you needed a good partner, and I was really fortunate. I mean, when I got in the first team, Hugh McElmoyle was in the team. And Hugh was great for encouraging me and taking up good positions in the box, one thing and another. And then it just seemed to be rolling out one after the other. I played a spell with Mel Holden. And then when I come back, there was Mick Elwes, Steve Elliott, John Smith, Mick Robinson. And they were all great to play with. And to play off them, I mean, I got quite a few goals off all of them. So, so I was a bit lucky that way.
You see, this is your modesty coming through again. It was.
No.
So in terms of, because you had two spells at Preston North End, quite famously. So how difficult, or even was that your choice when you went up to Newcastle United?
No, I didn't want to leave North End. I just Jim McNabb, the left back, used to pick me up for work, and I had no car, whatever. And so he picked me up I picked him up. So we used to alternate and that. So I picked him up in Cop Lane in Pemberton. And Jim says, it's in the paper, Brucey, they're selling you the day in Newcastle. I thought, it can't be. And that bed didn't want to leave North End. I'd only played 50 games or something, 52 games. So I didn't want to go. Then Bobby Charlton said, we've had a good offer, we need you basically to go. And that. Now, I'm not saying I'm a fan of football agents or that, but there was nobody supporting me in the manager's office. And it was basically like, we need you to go. Joe Harvey's coming down. He's going to speak to you. We want you to sign. And that. So you're basically, I felt was pushed at the door. But there you go. So I never wanted to leave North End.
Well, you came back again, like the good old boomerang, I suppose, that you are. So in terms of you coming back, because there's a certain amount of controversy, I think, in when you did come back.
Yeah.
Because Bobby Charlton, I think, left off the back of it, didn't he? So what happened at the time, and how did that make you feel?
Well, I went into training, and Gordon Lee said North End wanted to sign you and Mickey Burns, and he wanted John Bird. Would you go and speak to North End? So I said, yeah. So I met with Tom Gore, Bob Bolton, and someone else on, just trying to think who it was, on Garstang Road. And Mr. Hemmings was on the end of the phone in Bournemouth. He was based there. So I went to have talks with them, and when we finished the talks, I said, look, I'm flattered, but I'm not going to re-sign for North End if Bobby Charlton's going to leave because I'm coming back. Or Mickey Burns, and they said, well, the thing is, whether you sign or not, Bobby Charlton will be leaving the club. And they actually told me then that Harry Cartwright would be the manager, and they'd sounded him out about this deal, and he went along with it. Obviously, he was wanting the manager's job, but and that's.
Was Harry at Newcastle?
Pardon? Was
Harry at Newcastle?
No, I think he was out of work. He just left Everton, I think.
Right.
Yeah. So basically, I thought, well, if I don't sign and Bobby's leaving anyway, I might as well. It clears a way for me to re-sign for North End. So I was delighted. Yeah.
And we will hear more from Alec before the end of the show. Don't forget Chocolate Gate coming up soon. Right, let's go back to Teesside from Tuesday night. It was absolutely terrific. Think of more things you can that begin with T, because I can't. And let's roll the highlights.
It is with Crooks, played infield now into Sporer, smothered by Alan Brown, and it falls for Emil Rees. Rees is challenged by Howson, but it falls for Brown, and the Whites pour forward. 4 in the attack for Preston North End. A late man joining in McCann. Brown sends it to the far post, and Tom Barkhazen couldn't quite stretch. Boller looks to drive forward down the flank. Vandenberg out to him, cuts it back onto the edge of the box. Crooks shoots, and diving in front of it, it's Josh Earl who prevents it going in the back of the North End net. Ball comes off Bam Bahiram, rolls through for Emil Rees. Rees has got goal side of the experienced Ivorian. He now plays it wide off Peltier. He's 2 to try and beat one of those, being Tavernier. Goes down in the box, and the referee waves it away. Howson again throws it in there, headed goalwards. And it's Middlesbrough who open the scoring at the Riverside, and Paddy McNair crashing it in. Maguire links well there with Whiteman, who flicks it away from Crooks. Now finds the powerful run from Earl. Earl checks back in the box, he goes down. And the referee waves it again once more. In the midfield it goes to McNair. McNair pushes it left into Boller. Overlapping him is Peltier. And Peltier now will get it. First time cuts back, shoots, and hits the bar. Jones into Boller, 25 yards from goal. Spreads it out to the left-hand side, having popped up in the central area. It's with Tavernier. Tavernier gets his feet in a mix, but then spins away from Barkhazen and shoots. And Daniel Everson there with yet another brilliant save. Second corner of the game for North End. As Whiteman swings it in towards Evans! And it's in! Preston North End have equalised! And Ched Evans on his return off the bench, and there to answer the call when Preston North End needed a hero to step forward. Earl now needs to just stick to his guns. Ono Hernandez goes wide of him, cuts it back, Tavernier shoots, it's blocked there by Brown. The Riverside go crazy for handball appeals, but the referee not interested. And now Emil Rees, brilliant work in the midfield. Can Ben Whiteman find the pass? Sends it right out to Daniel Johnson. It's 2-on-2 as North End pour forward. Johnson looking to return it to Evans, and Bamber intercepts. His pass now comes straight to Emil Rees, and it's in the top corner. Preston North End have turned the game on its head. It's Emil Rees who's got it, and in the space of 4 second-half minutes, North End goes from trailing to leading. Emil Rees scores his 12th of the season. It's Borough 1, North End 2.
Wow, this game never ceases to amaze you, does it?
Yeah, it was nice to get some minutes. I thought first half we were okay, average. We knew as a team we could do better. Second half, I thought it was a different team, and we got up the pitch, and obviously it was nice to get a goal and a meal as well. In the form he's in, he only needs one chance at the moment, and he'll stick it in.
Yeah, listen, I'm delighted for the players, delighted for the supporters that it turned up. Great number, by the way, so well done to them. And it's not an easy journey on a Tuesday night to come here. So, and I could hear them all the way through. Similar to Bournemouth, to be honest. I thought they were excellent all the way through it for us. I'm just delighted. I have said for a wee while, we've missed Ched, and I felt that you could just see the difference when he comes on the pitch for us. He just manages to manage games well. It's a fantastic header from him to get us back into the game. And we maybe got a wee bit fortunate with the winner, but sometimes you need a wee bit of luck at times in games. I've said that.
It's a good result for us, really good result, and we're really pleased for the 3 points because it's been a bit of a weird few weeks at the football club. I think it's time to just get back to playing football and enjoying it. And I think when we do play as a team and stick together, and you can see everybody works hard for each other. Everybody, lads what aren't in the team, the lads what aren't in the squad, we all work hard, and it's just about putting that together as a team and putting it into performances like that and doing it for 90 minutes, not just when our back's against the wall. So overall, really pleasing.
That was the last game. In a second, we'll talk about the Fulham game. But first of all, we've got this game, and it's a great game. Greg Cunningham and Ben Whiteman are playing the game called Name Them. And you'll never guess what you've got to do in it.
I'm Greg Cunningham.
I'm Ben Whiteman.
And this is Name Them.
Ben, we'll start with you first round. How many current Preston North End players do you think you can name in 30 seconds?
18.
Name them.
So Ben, 3, 2, 1, go.
Dan, Sepp, Hunt, Linz, Hughesy, Pat, Greg, Josh, Raffs, Matt Olasunde, Barkey, me, Leds, Brownie, Deej, Ali McCann, Potsy, Ched, Emil.
Let's start out. 30 seconds. Oh, what was I thinking?
Easy.
What was that? 18?
1-0, yeah. That was more than that, wasn't it?
That's a shocker. That's a slow start for me. That's miles off.
Yeah,
18 in 30 seconds.
Yeah.
Okay.
1-0.
Well done.
Thank you.
Round 2. How many current Premier League managers can you name in 30 seconds?
I can name 9.
I can name 11.
I can name 12.
Name.
Wait.
No, go. Start.
Jurgen Klopp. As of last week, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer.
No.
Stephen Gerrard, Dean Smith, Brendan Rodgers, Rafa Benitez.
What was it, 12 or 11? Or was it
How
13?
many did I say?
You said 7. 13. Is it 13 or 11? Or 12?
Come on! Is he allowed to chat away? Because I respected him when he was talking.
Are you allowed to say managers that aren't there anymore?
Well, they don't know when this could be. This could have been
tonight.
last week.
It's tonight.
Last week.
It's tonight.
So I respect him when he's answering the easy questions, and then
2-0.
he's in my ear when I'm trying to think.
Hey, why don't you have Sir Alex Burke somewhere in there? Get Fergie in there, or Roy from last year. Oh, you were so sharp from last week.
He can't keep chirping up. You always do it. You always do it as well.
Oh, that is
why do I speak to you?
That is Gerard Houllier. Is that in there?
Round 3, we're going a little bit away from football. How many chocolate bars can you name in 30 seconds?
6.
7.
9.
10.
11.
12.
Name them.
Ready?
3,
This is me.
2, 1, go.
Mars, Snickers, Twix, Mint,
Biscuit.
Aero,
It's a
Mint
biscuit.
Aero, Galaxy Caramel, Maltesers, Terry's Chocolate Orange, Malteser Truffles,
Maltesers truffles.
more Boost Bar,
Yeah, I think you got it, mate. You got one more, I think. I think you got one more.
Dairy Milk Fruit and Nut.
Yeah, you did it. Fair play. Oh, you need one more.
That was... 100%. He's saying I got one more and then one more.
Go on, let's just go and crack on. Let him have it.
Greg, round 4. How many championship clubs can you name in 30 seconds?
10.
12.
14.
15.
16.
Name them.
Preston, Blackburn, Bournemouth, West Brom, Fulham, Luton, Blackpool, Hull, Middlesbrough, Peterborough, Sheffield United.
It's a good one. Is
Derby.
Is it the wall again, Annie?
Millwall.
2 more.
Time! How much was the shot?
That's 3-1, there's no point doing the last round.
Done.
Right, just before we get into the second part of the Alex Bruce interview, let's hear from Sepp Vandenberg and Frankie McAvoy. But before we hear from them, let's remind you of the goals from the last time we played and beat Fulham at Deepdale.
Corner, Bowden, in it goes, drops down for Maguire! That's better for Preston, and it's Sean Maguire from the corner, who makes no mistake, and suddenly the mood is lifted around Deepdale. Fulham sprint back with 2. Knockout and Onoma were there to help out, but Potts is going to take on himself with his long rangy legs as Billy Bowden now on his left foot gives it back to Potts. Keeper saves it, Nugent trying to follow it in. This time David Nugent does score. Preston need a hero and Nugent steps up. He's back where he belongs with unfinished business to get Preston promoted this season.
Yeah, well, them at Bournemouth are quite a wee bit ahead, aren't they, if we're honest. We went to Bournemouth with a game plan. We executed it, and the players deserved immense credit for it. And we'll give, Fulham that same respect as we do with every team, to be honest. But Marco Silva's got them playing extremely well.
Yeah, no, of course it's going to be a very tough game on the weekend, but no, I just think we needed the win. Of course, after the Cardiff game, we just needed the win and the boost again, the boost of the motivation again and the confidence. So yeah, no, it's going to be a very tough game on the weekend, but now we know what we are capable of, and in my opinion, the better the teams, the better we play as well. So hopefully we can make it a good game and get a result.
They've got a squad that's was geared up for playing the Premier League. They've came down, and the way you want to start when you've come down from the Premier League is the way they've done it. And he's got a fantastic striker, and Mitrovic. God knows how many goals he'll score. Hopefully he doesn't score on Saturday, and hopefully the illness that kept him out on Wednesday night, it's the exact same for Saturday, if I'm honest. But even then, they've got fantastic players, throughout their squad. So it'll be a really, really tough game for us. But one I'm looking forward to, one the players should be looking forward to, and one our supporters should be looking forward to.
I feel, I think I said it before the Liverpool game as well, you just want to play against the best players. And Fulham, they score quite a bit of goals. So I think for us defenders, this game is going to be a tough one. But I think that's what you want. Just show yourself and show everyone else what you can do against, the best players. So I think everyone should be looking forward to it.
Right, let's get back into that Alex Bruce interview, and we're going to sort out Chocolate Gate. Oh, Alan Kelly, you're going to get it. Let me tell you, the entire Bruce family loves nothing more than coming down to Deepdale on match days. Let's get back into the chat with Sir Alex himself.
Would you say your second spell was more successful than your first?
I think it was just as enjoyable, but again, when it came back, Harry Cartwright for some reason started playing us in midfield, and I was actually in the Newcastle team with Gordon Lee, but I was playing midfield when he sold his bat here. And then I thought I'll get back to North End, get back up front. So come back to North End, and Harry Cartwright was playing his midfield. And any striker will tell you it's a nightmare if they say you're playing midfield. You just do not want to play in the middle of the park, because you've no discipline. You just want to get in the penalty box and that. But then I scored a couple of goals, and he put us up front with McElwes. So now we had quite a good partnership.
So when it comes to sort of towards you eventually leaving again for the second time, how were you about
that? Yeah, I was very sad, really. I knew the writing was on the wall. I mean, it's no secret. I mean, I never got on that great with Gordon Lee, but I thought he was too negative of a manager, you know. And I've said before, like when he went to Newcastle, he sold Malcolm McDonald and Terry Hibbett. And I've said this before, they're the two players you wouldn't have sold. You know, if you were Newcastle's manager, you would not have sold Terry Hibbett and Malcolm McDonald. They were magic together, absolutely brilliant. And not that I was in the same class as them, but when he come back to Deepdale, and I thought, I'm playing up front, and he'd come back, and I know he didn't like, you know, all out attack and stuff like that, because things were a bit different then. They were still playing with wingers, you know. And I could remember going to Millwall away, and before the game, and he says, we're playing one forward, one striker today. And he says, it's you like Brucey. And I said, all right. And I thought, you know, Millwall didn't change their back four. They just kept the same back four. I was up front on my own. Somebody was out on the wing. And we got beat, I don't think. I got plenty of kicks, but none of the ball. You know, so instead of having a forward up with it, I was up front on my own, and I thought, like, I've no chance here. And that. So as the season went on, the team was struggling, and the writing was on the wall. So I was really disappointed when he just said, you're getting a free transfer. Oh, well, and you basically just get your boots and go home. So it's as brutal as that.
Wow. Because you went off to Wigan, I think, next, didn't you? But in terms of, I think my earliest memories of you as a kid was you were in charge of Amber Bridge Leisure Centre. Yeah. I got into the leisure industry. I mean, I never knew what to do when I finished playing football, but that generation, I don't think any was knew. You never think your career's going to finish. And then when it finished, you scratch your head and think, well, what am I going to do? So I persevered with that. I mean, I got a lot of flack for people for, you know, I had to get my lifeguard badge and stuff like that, walk around the swimming pool and the flat you got. But I seen it, well, I hopefully seen an end result. So I ended up as contract manager for all the sites in Southwell and that. So it worked out all right in the end. Yeah. There's two things that I've got to mention that you might have thought I wasn't going to mention before we come towards the end of this interview. And one of them is the thing that I always love talking to you about, and that is your golden boot. That you won. So you were sort of the top scorer. I think was it 30 goals?
It was 30 goals that season, 27 league goals. Yeah.
So how did that feel? Because we talk about the golden boot, and I know you're going to be modest again, but it is, you got it because you were the elite striker. You know, you scored more goals than anyone else. So how did it feel?
It was great, really, really good, and that. I mean, if I didn't know, and I would have looked for it. It's in a cupboard somewhere. Not that that's. It shouldn't be like it should be on display, but I keep them.
No, I know what we've had this conversation, and we know because you are modest, you do like to keep it tucked away, and I think it was hidden away for a good while. But it meant a lot, though, didn't it?
It did. It meant everything to me as a striker. I mean, like I said, like I still get a tingle of it when I think the ball hit in the back of the net, and it's hard to explain. It's just what I wanted to do, and that. Then when I won the Golden Boot, and then we went down to London with Nobby, and then Nobby says I was sitting with a friend of mine at the presentation, and when I sat down, it was Jeff Hurst. So I was sat there thinking like Jeff Hurst, Nobby style, and I only said hello and goodbye. I mean, I was speechless, sat in such great company. But I thought it's not that many moons ago I was watching England West Germany win the World Cup in Anstruther on family holiday, watching these two win the World Cup with England, and I thought, and I'm sat here with them now, and I've got a golden boot, and that. So it really meant a lot to us. I wasn't the most confident of players, and that, but if I got the ball in the back of the net, confidence shot up. So, and that kept me going, that getting goals.
Just before I ask the final question,
yeah,
I've got to mention about, I know you do come on Preston North End as often as you can do. And I'm part of your little fan club. There's 4 or 5 of us in the fan club.
At least.
All the grandkids come along, don't they? And I think
they do.
I think they all think I'm the same age as them whenever they come down.
They do. Well, funnily enough, when I bring them on, they always ask is Simon on, and the last time I brought Angus on this season, he was on it with a friend of his from Derby, and he says, "Is Simon on today?" I says, "No, he's not on."
Well, you've got to mention them all. It's a good chance to give them all a name
on
check.
that side. We're on the other side in the directors area and that. And Simon Angus is really disappointed because he always says like, "Well, Simon asked me a question." I said, "Well, I'll ask him," and that, because in the past you've asked questions, and that's it. They're all thinking like, "Is Simon going to ask me a question?" So ask them a question next time they're on.
Well, you've got to mention them all while we're here, because they will see this, because I know that they're all big North End fans.
Yeah, well, the oldest is Angus, he's 15, Tilly's 14, Will's 13, and Toby's 11 now. And that all PNE fans, all love coming on, and that's your future fans, isn't it? So, yeah.
So just finally, Alex, I have to address what a certain scamp Alan Kelly Jr. had to say when he was talking about the occasion of, I think it was the second time that he'd broken his leg. And I've got to say it was all light-hearted. So there was, he's over the breaking the leg thing, but he's been banging on about a bar of chocolate, Alex, ever since.
Yeah, well, I've heard a few times he's told the tale a bit cheekily. I can't really recall it, but if a goalkeeper said it, it must be true. But I've left something at reception for him anyway.
This reception?
Yeah.
Hang on then. Hang on.
That's it.
There we go.
There you go. I took him a bar of chocolate.
So now, I know you don't remember this story. There's a very good possibility he made half of it up. He is prone to that. But now, maybe he can shut up about it after all these years now. That's leveled it up, I think. Bar of chocolate, he can stop talking about it now, can't he?
He can't. And may I just add, Simon, when I did call around, I took his mum some flowers. And I told his mum what happened, and his mum blamed him for coming out, for just being like a typical goalkeeper, charging out, diving at a striker's feet, going through. So his mum blamed him. Just remind them that.
I certainly will. Alec, it's always a pleasure on behalf of every Preston North End fan watching this, from Bamber Bridge to Barbados, from Lostical to Los Angeles. Thank you for all the goals you ever scored. You are one of our all-time legends, and thanks for sparing us some time.
No, thanks for asking again, Simon, and thanks again.
And that is it for this episode of The Weekend One. Thank you to Alex Bruce. Isn't it nice that he's put the wrong to right? And we'll send that bar of chocolate to Alan Kelly, I promise. If you haven't got your tickets yet for the Fulham game, don't forget, you still can do. You can go online, mypne.com. You can download, print out your tickets, or you can buy them in person at Deepdale right up until kickoff. If you've already got your tickets, don't forget the fan zone is open from 10:30 because it's a 12:30 kickoff. So if you're listening to it on iFollow, don't forget to get on nice and early. As I say, thanks again to Alex Bruce for sorting that out. We'll make sure that Alan Kelly gets this. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And don't tell Alan Kelly we're eating his chocolate. All the best. Come on, you Whites.